Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. I've just walked from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, so sorry for coming on a little bit late. But Tottenham Hotspur are in the 5th round of the FA Cup after beating Brighton 3-1 this evening. A superb first half goal from Harry Kane. Of course, second goal from Emerson Royal, and then a tap-in from Harry Kane in the second half. I've got three very special guests to talk about tonight's game with me. I've got Ricky Norwood, actor. Ricky, how are you?
Very well, my friend. Very well. Lovely to see the boys back in action again, and lovely to see that performance more than anything else, man. I know we're going to jump in, but again, thank you for having me on. Always an honor and a pleasure, Chris. So looking forward to getting into it.
Well, smiles and the champagne is still flowing, Ricky.
Absolutely. Come on.
We've also got very special guest, Emmett Golden, presenter on ESPN Cleveland on ESPN Radio. Emmett, thanks so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad, we had some football back. That winter break was way too long for me. Excited to see the boys back in action.
It's so nice to have a new guest on as well, talking about a win, because, over the last few years, we've had a difficult few years under a difficult, few managers as well. We've also got Craig on. Craig, how are you?
I'm all right. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, very happy with the result today and the performance. Fantastic. Sure, we'll get into it, but lovely to see smiling faces. So it's good. It's all good. It's all positive.
Well, lots of smiling faces at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tonight. Ricky, let's start with you. Your thoughts on today's game? Because I tell you what, I'm smiling because the amount of chances that we created, it was like Tottenham back in the day under Pochettino with the amount of chances we created. How did you see the game?
Oh, absolutely, bro. I mean, you know what I was really pleased by was the way that we started the game. Normally, we started the game, first 5-10 minutes, we'd normally start it slow. It takes, some type of incident, hopefully not a goal, but some type of incident to wake up the team. And then we start getting a hold of the ball and then we start playing. And then, we're in it and we're trying. But today, from the kickoff, man, we was on it. The intensity from every single one of the boys today, especially in that first half. They were determined. They were hungry. It was like a whole new team today. That first half, just seeing them, the way that they played, the way that they moved, the way that they passed the ball. And yes, we had 3 great goals, but like the performance for me today, especially that first half, it just gave me hope for what's to come. It's another building block in Conte's wall, and we're getting stronger by the game, man. We are getting stronger by the game. The second half, we dropped off a little bit. I think we gave them a little bit too much of the ball, and they came out determined as well to try and, rectify the result for themselves. Basuma, second half, he was pretty outstanding. And, they deserved their goal at their time. But the way that we responded to that, to conceding that goal, the people who was angry about conceding that goal, the way that we was, again, determined, and it set us back in track to kind of go, all right, cool, let's get our game back together. Let's not panic. Let's be composed with it. Let's trust what the manager's given us and what the mission statements that we have, and let's go and execute it. And the boys done that, man. The boys done that. I was so pleased with the boys today. Great performance. And it just gives me hope for what's to come, Chris, what's to come. And maybe that's the trophy as well. But I'm just saying, Chris. I'm just saying maybe. Innit?
4 minutes in.
You said the trophy word. Wow.
4 minutes in.
I was going to do it because I know Chris has been holding off the last couple of weeks. So I was just like, let me just drop it in there now. First 5 minutes, I'll drop it in. And then we can, we can talk about the ifs, buts, and maybes as we get on. But super pleased, bro.
Joking aside about trophies, though, Rick, but the feeling, it just feels different, doesn't it? It feels different to what it was before.
Absolutely, bro. I think the mentality is definitely shifted. I mean, I think the break done them all well. I mean, that Leicester game was pivotal. It was more than 3 points, that Leicester game. The way that we, brought those 2 goals into extra time, that again, that kind of hunger, that determination, the way Harry Kane was playing in the Leicester game. Yes, we had a blip against Chelsea again, but there was a better performance, but it was a tie performance. There was pretty much 8-9 defenders on that pitch. Do you know what I mean? With 2 attackers. But today they took that forward. Today they, maybe it's 2 new signings coming in that motivated the whole team to kind of step up. and to, to kind of be appreciative and kind of, earn the spots that they already have, because there's somebody waiting behind them now to step in. And I know we're going to jump into the new signings, but maybe that's giving them a push as well. But everything changed. The mentality changed. Like I say, the thing that was most pleasing to me was the way that we started and the way that we pushed them back. We caused them problems. Do you know what I mean? And that was the way that I like to see Tottenham play, on the front foot, going forward, going for them. So yeah, super pleased, man. But like I say, it's even more exciting for what's to come. If this is where we're at right now, in the second half of the season, in the business end, do you know what I mean? So fingers crossed we continue this train.
Emmett, let's come to you. Before you give me your thoughts on tonight's game, you're over there in Cleveland. Tell us how you got into supporting Spurs.
Randomly, obviously, when, COVID kind of hit and there was absolutely no live sports, right? I bought FIFA for my PlayStation, and I wanted to play with a team that everybody doesn't play with, right? Everybody knows the Cities and the Uniteds and the Chelseas over here. People talk about them a lot. And as I was scrolling through, I saw the crest, the logo, right? And I said, man, that looks regal. Let me start a career with, these guys. And then I jumped on YouTube and started watching all the videos that I could about Tottenham. And I fell in love with Sonny, right? So I fell in love with Sonny, and I said, this is my team, right? From here on out, this is my club. This is who I'm going to rock with, win, lose, or draw. I mean, obviously, I'm in Cleveland. I'm a Browns fan. If you know anything about the Browns, you know that there have been plenty of downs throughout the years. But I never, ever left because, that's my squad. So that's kind of the way it happened. I fell in love with, this team by, being introduced to the players. Was a big Dele fan, understand why he had to leave, at this point. But, about 2.5 years ago is when I started following Spurs.
Emmett, what did you make of today's game?
It was fun. It was fun to watch. I think about, some of the previous games. It seemed like it took a Herculean effort just to score a goal, right? And it was so hard just to put the ball in the net. And today it could have easily been 5-1. There were so many chances. And as I looked at it, I said to myself, man, wait till Sonny gets back and back into form, because you could see, him and Harry weren't quite on the same page today. But that the connection and the chemistry is there. So it was a fun game to watch. And Ricky, to your point about the new guys bringing new energy, I think the guys leaving took some negative energy with them. And I think that has helped out Spurs a lot. So it was a fun game. And, my Saturday night here in the States is going to be a lot better after seeing Spurs get the victory.
Emmett, can you also tell us about your role on ESPN as well?
Absolutely. So I host Monday through Friday on ESPN Cleveland. I host a show called The Next Level. Mainly we're talking Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and everything there. And then on the weekends, I host a national radio show on ESPN Radio called Game Day. And I do that, early afternoon, here on the East Coast. And, throughout the weeks here and there, the Sports Center might give me a call to talk about things that are happening with Cleveland. But, I've worked in the media for 12 years here in America. In the last 4, I've also been doing national stuff along with my local show.
Fantastic. Craig, let's come to you. Your thoughts on today's game?
I thought it was a solid performance, especially the first half. Very few, if any, mistakes in that first half. It was just a more, like you said, what we used to with Tottenham, especially going back a few years. It was attacking. It seemed bright. It was fast. Everything was done a bit faster, certainly than under those first few games under Nuno. Everything seemed to be a lot slower. The players seemed really fit tonight. Romero looked very sharp. Sonny looked sharp. Didn't seem any tired legs out there, and that extra fitness seems to be paying dividends. And I was very pleased with the overall performance. Did tail off a bit in the second half. Again, kind of still at half time, as the saying goes, the first 10-15 minutes. But obviously, got the third one just to finish them off. So the first half was definitely better than the second. Very pleased with the overall performance. Didn't actually sit here watching and be worried at all, really, during the game, to be honest with you. I always felt like we was going to get it over the line. So not much else you can say, just really pleased with it. I think the future's looking bright, and I think you're right about those players coming in. I think it's given everyone a bit of a boost. We'll get into that a bit later on, but very impressed with the two boys that came on as well. Yeah, the new signings, very, very good all round.
Yeah, absolutely. Ricky, let's come to you. Let's talk about the starting 11. Hugo Lloris in goal, Sanchez, Romero and Davis back three, wing backs Emerson Royal and Sergio Reguilon, holding midfielders Harry Winks and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and the forward three of Lucas Moura, Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. This is exactly the team that I expected. I was very pleased with this starting 11. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I was excited. The same. When I heard that Skippy was injured, and Dyer last minute, they left him out for a precaution. I was like, okay, great. Well, this is what we're going to go with. But what I did pick up on was that obviously we know from what's come out from what Conte said is that if Dyer's missing, then Roden comes in. Well, I don't think that's quite true. Do you know what I mean? I think he's down. I think he's down below that as well. Do you know what I mean? Because he had the opportunity to play him today, but he put Sanchez back on the right side, and he put Romero in the middle, which I liked. It looked good, you know. Romero's just come back from a long injury. No wonder he pulled up with cramp come set 75 minutes. A big shout out to Romero today. I thought, especially the first half, he's been getting stick from a lot of fans recently. You got to remember, he's just turned up. He's only been here a couple of months. He's still learning the language. He's still learning what his teammates are doing. He's still learning the runs. He's still learning, new roles that the coach is giving him. And he's had two coaches in the however many months he's been here as well. So he's had two different roles to try and get used to and to try and implement and put his stamp on the team. But what I saw from him today, again, was rugged determination, was aggression, he was determined to get forward. And that's how he got his goal. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't like an obvious cross in there. Yes, there was two runners coming, but it wasn't an obvious cross in there. But he's now programmed to get to that byline or to get to a certain space and whip it in if he can't do something with it. He was also in space. He was also always there for a pass or for an overlap. The same as Reguilon on the other side. And I know this is the first type of baby steps of these two kind of waking up and kind of learning and kind of embracing and then taking on and pushing the roles that they've been given. But this is just the beginning of it. But you can see that something's coming. You can see that Romero, Emerson Royal ain't silly. He knows that we've been after a right wing back. He knows that Adama Traore was coming for his position. He knows that we was in the market if Doherty left to bring in somebody else to challenge him. So while he's got the position that he has and he's starting, he was like, all right, cool. You want me to show you? I'm going to show you. Today, I'm going to let you know. Today, I'm going to, at least so that I come off of this field. And when I do, the fans are going to appreciate what I left on it. Do you know what I mean? So big shout out to Royal there. And it was really nice to see the front three again. Sonny, Lucas, Kane. Kane was immense today. Again, I've got to say, like the way that he was all over the field as per usual. He's got the spring back in his step. He's got a will to win again. There is a fire there. We can see the difference, the different Harry Kanes under Nuno and under Conte right now. We can see it's like night and day. So when I saw that lineup, I was really I was excited. And I knew that the new signings would be on the bench. I was hoping that they would come off and kind of have some game time, which they did. And I'm sure we'll break them, like their bits and pieces down. But big shout out to Royal. And I think that him and Reguilon, they're going to be getting goals real soon. And Davies, these three defenders, they're going to be chipping in with goals very, very soon. They're working it out. They're figuring it out. And we're getting there little bit by a little bit.
Ricky, we'll come on to talking about new signings later. Quick question here. Rhythm 2671. Kulo reminded me of Gareth Bale. Everyone knew he was going left, but they still couldn't stop him. Your thoughts on Kulo coming on today?
I wouldn't say Bale as yet, but I totally get what you're saying. Like I totally get what this guy is saying. There was a rhythm in the run. He's big. He's physical. When he went for that, his first shot that he got, where he tried to curl it into the top. right-hand corner, I think it was. You could see that even though he didn't score the goal, but you could see the technique, you could see the whip on it, you could see where he was placing it. The only kind of, and this is like his first foray at, you know, the Tottenham Stadium right now. It's the first couple of minutes that we've got to see him. But the only thing that I did kind of, not that I'm worried about it, but he doesn't have blistering pace. You know, he did look I don't want to say slow, but he didn't look as quick as I thought he was at the moment, at this present time. But got technique, got both feet. You know, wriggled in, was looking, he found intelligent passes. You know, he knew when to slow down. There was a point where Harry passed him off the ball to kind of, and he could have pushed it forward, but he just stopped and waited for other people to come into play. And even though my instincts are like, get it forward, go for goal, it was an intelligent move that he was just like, let me just stop, let me pull some other options in, and let's go and let's try and, you know, actually get a goal. Do you know what I mean? So he wasn't just doing the obvious. He was doing things off the cuff, and he's only just started. So the comparison to Bale, I've got to see more, and I've got to see more in a Spurs shirt. But the signs are good. The signs are good.
What I said, Ricky. Everyone's excited at the moment. Everyone's smiling right now. Emma, let's come to you. Now, I think everyone expected Eric Dyer to play tonight, but Antonio Conte has said straight after the game, pity for Eric Dyer, because yesterday he had a little problem and the medical department decided not to take a risk. The starting 11 for you, were you happy with that?
Yeah. Outside of Dyer, that's what I expect the squad to look like, and I couldn't agree with Ricky more with Emerson. He was putting pressure on the defense, and that's something I felt like he hasn't done since he got here to Tottenham. You know, he seemed to kind of middle around and not really put pressure on the defense, and he did that. Also, you know, I love seeing, I'm a big Højbjerg fan, so to see, you know, him in there and doing his thing, I was happy to see them back on the pitch. So this is the team that I expect. And will the new guys ultimately start at some point? I think so. But you throw Dyer in that back three, and I think your back three is complete. You got your front three, and now I think Conte has some options in the midfield, and especially when guys are motivated. You know, it's kind of easy to take being in the Premier League for granted, but after a while you go, oh, they might be in the market to replace me. That'll motivate you, and we saw a motivated Emerson Royal today.
The thing is, Emmett, as well, you know, Antonio Conte said about Christian Romero is like a new signing to him because he's only played twice before tonight under his management. And of course, your favourite player, my favourite player, Heung-min Son, great to see him back as well this evening.
No doubt. I mean, he brings an electricity, you know, to the team. I think as soon as the ball touches his foot, you could feel the entire, you know, stadium get excited, much the way that Kane is. And just, again, his presence, I believe that, you know, in the locker room, some guys can make a huge difference. And I think his presence, you know, in that dressing room, and once he steps on the pitch, that everybody, not just the fans, but even his teammates, can't wait to see what he's going to do, and having him back out there, huge jolt of energy for this squad.
Craig, let's come to you. Before I do, when I look at you and Emmett, you look like brothers, you two.
Yeah.
Do you know what we could be, because my dad's American, so
there it is, long lost brothers.
He lives in Kansas, so I'm not sure. It's a little bit away from where Emmett is. So.
Just down the road. It's just down the road.
That's what the Americans will say. Yeah, it's only a 2-day drive. You're right.
Right.
Craig, were you happy with the starting 11?
Yeah, it's like you said, Chris. It was pretty much what I expected after Dyer had a little knock. So just happy with it. To be honest, I think we're getting to a point then with the squad where just if a couple of players drop out, the ones that come in are not going to weaken the first 11, and that's what you want to get to. We're not. I say we're there. We're not quite there yet by any stretch, but with the players we've brought in, we just look a bit more solid. There's no real weak links in there, and that's mainly down to Conte, in my opinion. It's the way he's drilling these players and making players play for him. Really, I mean, look at Harry Winks. I mean, he's had a bit of discussion on this channel over the last year or so. And Harry Winks is arguably one of the first names on the team sheet at the moment, because I think he's been really good. And to be fair to him, he's been outstanding in some games, and he played very well today again. So, they're all still playing for Conte, and while they're playing for the manager, we've seen it time and time again, you're more likely to get results than not. It was plain to see under Nuno, the players stopped playing for him within a few weeks of him being there. And it was just the balls up from beginning to end, wasn't it? I think the only real game was the Man City one, and that, we got over the line in that somehow. I don't know how, looking back, but 1-0 win, great, good start to the season, 3 wins, and then it went a bit downhill. But now we're seem to be picking it up and getting this win, getting through to the next round. It's really good, and that starting 11 today, for me, we're always going to do the job. I just didn't see Brighton winning that game today, and they got the job done.
Ricky, let's come to you. I was just about to mention Christian Romero, and there's a comment on screen now. Anyone else concerned about Romero's fitness? I'd have happily seen him not start on Wednesday than lose him for another few weeks. Now, Tottenham Hotspur have just tweeted asking for fans to vote for their man of the match: Romero, Kane, Emerson and Sanchez. What do you make of Christian Romero in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt so far this season? Because for me, I just think that we look so steady with him in the side.
Steady, we look intelligent. We look his anticipation of the tackle before it's time to tackle, but yet he tackles on time. Like he's fantastic. He sees it 2-3 steps ahead of the game. Like he's almost got the eye that Teddy Sheringham had, but for a defender. Do you know what I mean? He just sees it. And it's fantastic to see him in there. It's not only make those anticipated tackles, but when he drives forward, he's got aggression, he's got leadership, he's got intelligence, and we've only seen a flash of him. On the fitness front, he's just come back from a long injury. We know how long he's been out. So they've been working in training, and the medical team, it's a whole new medical team. It's a whole new set of coaches, fitness coaches, sports science, and all of that. And those guys will manage his minutes. We're not going to take any unnecessary risks. And if you need an example of that, Eric Dyer today. Do you know what I mean? So he had a little bit of a knock yesterday. There's no need to take an unnecessary risk. Let's save him so that we've got him for Wednesday. Let's give him a couple more days, and we can move forward with a stronger squad. So with the fact that Romero's back now, and like Emmett was saying there about, like, if somebody comes out, I think it's Craig. If somebody comes out, we're not as weak. Well, if we drop Romero out, then Sanchez plays with Dyer, and we can afford to do that right now, because Sanchez, he's another one that is under Conte is had a bit of a mean streak. There's been aggression there. He gets upset when we concede a goals. He's ready to to grip some man up by their shirt and say, well, you can see it in him. He gets really upset now. He gets angry. He's also there. Sanchez is also there for the cover when somebody else makes a mistake, whether it's Dyer or whether it's Romero. Romero had that slip today, and Sanchez was on his way back to try and save the situation. So we've got options now. So if we need to rest him on Wednesday, I don't mind resting him and playing Dyer and Sanchez. Now, before this season started, you've got to remember that Dyer and Sanchez, every Tottenham fan wanted them two out. Do you know what I mean? Like, we was happy that Sanchez was being put into swap deals. Everyone was asking, when is Dyer leaving? He's not a centre-back. Look at the determination of the boys. Look how they've turned it around. They've got to have some credit as well, because they've put their mind and their focus and their heart and their energy into making it happen, into suffering for success. Do you know what I mean? Under this new manager. So I don't mind if Romero drops out. I don't mind if that means that we have a stronger squad going forward. No worries at all. But I'm just happy that we've got him back, because we're starting to build something real special with Romero in that back line.
Emma, let's come to you. Just wanted to ask you what you've made of Antonio Conte's time at Spurs. Within these few months, and as Ricky said there are quite a few players that a lot of Spurs fans would have probably wanted out the door in the January transfer window or the summer window. Ben Davies, Eric Dyer, Sanchez, to name but a few. What do you think he's done, so well at Spurs so far?
You know, as someone who's a relatively new, you know, fan of European football, I think he's been amazing. You know, my first introduction to managers was Jose, right? As he, you know, joined Spurs, and I liked Jose, but it wasn't an entertaining brand of football, you know, and you bring in Nuno, a guy that I liked him as a guy, but again, not an entertainer. I didn't feel like either one of those guys got the most of the players. I felt like in certain situations, a lot of times guys didn't play as hard for those two gentlemen for whatever reason, but it's obvious Conte's pushing the right button. He's coming in, he's challenging guys. I think Winks, you know, you've seen the way that Harry Winks has played recently, and you're like, wow, you know, this guy, there's some real quality there. And, you know, Stevie, right? Bergwijn. It was a guy who I kind of felt like maybe he's a guy that should leave, you know, in the transfer window, and then he does the miraculous thing by scoring 2 goals in less than, you know, 90 seconds to pull out a big win. That's Conte, right? Because Stevie's been the same guy the whole time. He's had the same quality that he's had the entire time. He just hasn't found the manager to get that out of him, and that's what you're seeing. And I also think from a Harry Kane standpoint, it brings credibility, right? I think a lot of the reason he wanted to get out of here, or, you know, that's what the reports is, he wanted to go to City, is because he wanted to play for a manager that brought credibility to this club. And that's what Conte has done. And I think everybody's happy right now.
Emmett, talk us through Harry Kane's goal, because in the 13th minute, you know, he shot straight at the goalkeeper, but a minute later, what a finish. What a finish. The amount of times that Harry Kane has been criticised by fans, the media so far this season, you know, what a goal.
Let me tell you about that goal, right? It's right as the game had started, I still had about another segment left on my show on ESPN Radio. And as we're talking about the Super Bowl that's, you know, going to happen here next week, I got my eye on, you know, on the screen, and I see Harry Bendit in there, and yeah, I'm covering my mouth because I want to go crazy, right? But nobody would know where I was losing my mind. So it was magnificent. It was absolutely amazing. And that's Harry Kane, right? He's one of the best strikers in the world. And I think for the first half of the season, we haven't really seen him in that type of form. But I'm excited for the second half of the season because he can do that game in and game out multiple times a game, and his quality was on display when he scored that goal.
Craig, let's come to you. What do you make of Harry Kane's criticism so far? Because, you know, it's kind of like you score a goal like that, and it's like, you know, that's what I can do.
Yeah, pretty much. Can I just first say it's lovely to hear Emmett call it football and not soccer. So you know, thank you. Thank you. I just think Harry Kane's coming into form again, Chris, to be honest with you. He did have that period where we all knew he wanted off, he wanted out. And with England losing the final, I think that hit him hard as well. So I think it's just a combination of a load of stuff. And he wasn't particularly fit in those first 2 months for whatever reason. And I think he's got his mojo back, and it's down to Conte, you know. He wants to play for Tottenham again. You can see that. You can see he cares, and I think he's basically just kept quiet, got his head down, and got on with it, you know. And I personally don't think he's going to be leaving anytime soon. I think there's going to be, as Lee McQueen said, I think from what you hear, there's a contract either on the table or, you know, he's likely to sign it. I don't know, but I just think we've probably got him. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say we got him for the rest of his career, hopefully. And I think he has just got his head down and thought, right, we've got a serial, or as it go, Rick, serial win.
Serial win.
Yeah. So we are in the best place we could possibly be with this manager, to be honest, at the moment. What I love about Conte as well, after the game when he's being interviewed, he never gets really excited about anything at the moment. And he constantly saying, look, more work to be done. Big transfer window in the summer. He's not happy until we've got that first trophy over the line, and then when we got one, he'll want more, and he'll want more, and he'll want more, and that is what you want to hear. You know, you don't want to just settle for one or two. I mean, Christ, give us one at the moment, you know. But you know, that is the mentality he's bringing. And what was lovely to hear was
he's not even really thinking about top four. It'd be great if we got it, but he's thinking about winning the Premier League. Obviously not this year, but that's his goals, and that's a big. It's going to take a lot of convincing our players that they got and to have the belief that they can do this. So it's not going to be a quick thing, but we've got the best manager for the job. And let's face it, as we've said before, if we can't win with Conte, who can we win with? So we're in a very good place at the moment. And I think Kane is going to spearhead that, and everything's going to be built around him, and quite rightly so.
Before we talk about Tottenham's second goal from Emerson Royal, I've got to ask you, Craig, because you are one of those fans that have been heavily critical of Harry Winks over the last few years on this channel. What have you made of Harry Winks under Conte? Because he has certainly improved a lot.
Absolutely. I wouldn't say I'll eat my words, because I think the criticism was perhaps justified at the time, and I think probably Harry Winks would say the same thing. You know, he knew there was more in the tank. He knew he could do better. But I think it's just brilliant that he's come good, got his head down. Tottenham boy from the age of 7 or whatever it is, and he's playing so well at the moment. He just seems sharper. He seems a bit braver than he was before. We see him having shots. He had a couple today. He's driving forward a bit more. He's passing forward a bit more, which I think what let him down previously. Just perhaps not having that confidence to do it. You know, the easy, safe sideways pass. We're not seeing as many of them. He's just been very, very good and very solid the last few games, and obviously didn't get the 90 in today. But what is good to say with Bentancur, and we'll come on to him, I'm sure, just slotted in. You know, nothing dipped. So Harry Winks, very, very good, very, very good, and he just deserves a place in the squad. And I'm glad we didn't sell him in the transfer window.
Wow.
There we are. Glad we didn't sell it. Wow, that is a big statement from Craig.
Wow.
It is. Well, you know, you got to give credit where it's due. You know, I've never disliked it. Look, I think whenever you criticise a player, you're trying to give it's just your opinion, yeah, but you're trying to be fair, and the performances just weren't as good as they should have been. And it's not the fact you dislike him as a person. It's just, you're just stating fact. I think everybody could see that. But he's been absolutely fantastic under Conte. He's been one of the most improved players. As I said before, and here, if there was a trophy for the most improved player that they gave out, then Harry Winks, in my opinion, would have it. But there'd be a few other players challenging him for it, so which is great to see. Like, it's fantastic.
You see, Emma, it's not only me that go on about trophies. Ricky's mentioned trophies. Right. Craig mentioned trophies now.
I need to drop a trophy mention here shortly. Don't worry about it. I'll join the
Don't worry. We'll come on to it. Don't worry. We'll definitely come on to it. Ricky, let's come to you. Emerson Royal. Now, all of us Spurs fans have criticised him heavily for not putting in decent deliveries. Well, we certainly put a decent delivery in tonight. It was funny. He was going down the wing, and I was saying, "Come on, put a decent ball in." And then, you know, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Every fan in the stadium was quite shocked that the fact that it went in the net. What did you make of that goal?
I was just so happy for him. I think we was all shocked. Even I was shocked at home. You know, because you saw the kind of body language and you saw the movement. So you're expecting like a cross, like an actual kind of cross that's gonna maybe come back maybe to the center circle, not the center circle, but just outside the 6-yard box. Do you know what I mean? You're expecting it to hit somewhere there, but for it to get that tiny deflection and go in, I was so happy for him because, you know, like Craig was saying there, like that. I find this a lot with Tottenham fans is that none of us really want to criticize our own players. We all want them to do well. We all want them to be world beaters and be the best in their position throughout the league. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, you can't just kind of blindly back a player just because you like them, and you can't heavily criticize a player just because you dislike them. You know, so with Royal, I've always tried to stick up for him. The only time that I've really criticised him was the first half against Leicester, where I said it looked like he was running through treacle. I didn't know what was going on. Do you know what I mean? But they took him off at half time. I knew that was the right decision. I said that being on the show with you, Chris, at that time, and I was just like, you know, it was the right thing that they done. Afterwards, we found out that he was playing with an injury, and Conte, in fact, thanked him for putting his body on the line and kind of getting out there and doing it and being one of the boys in the 11, being available for selection. Do you know what I mean? Conte thanked him for that. And, you know, and I think Conte would have appreciated that. But today, he was all over it. He was sweating buckets. Not only was he trying to push forward and trying to use the pace that he has, he's not blistering pace, but the pace that he does have and the dribbling ability that he was on it. And he was also there covering Sanchez and covering the right wing in defense as well. And he's more a defensive player. So I was just so happy for him that it went in. Has it been chalked off for an own goal, Chris?
Yeah, it's an own goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, but he's still got the feeling. Do you know what I mean? And he's still got that kind of. He knows that us Tottenham fans are going to walk away speaking positively about him today. He knows he left everything on the field today. So I think that's another really positive step for him within the squad. I think he can only get better. And he's still young. Do you know what I mean? And just a little thing on Harry's goal. Let me just tell you, Chris, when he got into that position, like I visualized, I could see the whole goal before he even picked up his foot and placed it against the ball. Do you know what I mean? Before he even made contact with the ball, I knew that it was a goal. I knew where it was going. And for him to score it like that, I went mental, absolutely mental. It was a beautiful goal. But yeah, super happy for Emerson, super happy. We need him to build on this now. We don't need him to get to above his station. We need him to put in more stronger performances, more crosses, more accuracy, being available even more for the team and grasp the chance that he has to make that right wing back role his own.
Emmett, if we were talking about man of the match, who would you give man of the match to tonight?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, you look at Harry, he scored twice, but I kind of feel like it was Emerson. Again, just the fact that he was able to really put pressure on the defense. And I had two different reactions to the goal. Because when I first saw it happen, I thought he shot it. And I was like, oh, please, wow. Like, he shot that and he made it. Like, that's the gnarliest goal I've ever seen in my life. And then I realized it took a deflection. And that's where I said that positive things happen when you put pressure on the defense, right? In baseball, take the extra base, make the defense have a good throw. In hockey, put the puck on the net, right? In American football, throw the ball deep, like just put pressure on the defense. And that's what Emerson did today. And I think a lot of what we saw and a lot of success that Tottenham had was because they were going forward. And he was a big, big part of that. So even though it was an own goal, I still think his energy really got the team going. He'd be my man of the match.
Emmett, how did you feel at half time? Because it felt like Tottenham were very in control. It felt like we were already in the fifth round, after the first 45 minutes of the game.
So again, I haven't been a Tottenham fan long, but I've been a Tottenham fan long enough to know, you don't count the win at the half. I've learned that. So I felt good because it was a 2-goal lead, right? You're up 2 goals. You go, okay, we can give up a soft one or something like that, and it'll still be okay. So I was cautiously optimistic, at halftime. Like I said, I've seen enough to know that, a halftime lead doesn't mean an automatic win.
Yeah, so many Spurs fans say if you're not feeling nervous, if Tottenham are 3-0 up in the 90th minute, you're not a true Tottenham fan. You're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah, much like being a Browns fan over here in Cleveland as well, so I can relate.
Craig, what did you make of Brighton's goal? Of course, in the 63rd minute, Basuma, a player that we were linked with in the January transfer window, scored.
Yeah, it was a good goal, and he was their main threat, to be honest with you. He really actually impressed me. I was watching him actually a bit more in the second half because of those links, in the transfer window. Because I really hadn't really paid much attention to him before. But I'll tell you what, he's a cracking player. He is a cracking player. I can see why we wanted to go in for him. And it was a good goal. Well, I mean, you could say it was bad defending as well, but he's got that burst of pace that just takes him past players. It was a double deflection. Hugo, no chance. But Yeah, good player. They've got some good players in that team, along like Lamptey as well. I mean, you could see if we could have a double raid in the summer on. I'm not sure they'd let them go, but Lamptey and Bissouma. Tell you what, we'd have a couple of good players in around here.
I think it'll happen, Craig. For Roden and Doherty, I think straight swap, no money.
Just a straight swap. Yeah.
We can get that done.
I think
Paratici, he'll get that done.
He should get it done, because I think that's a fair deal, to be honest with you. And I think take Brian Potter out, whatever his name is, Graham Potter, isn't it? I keep calling him Brian Potter. Brian Potter was in Phoenix Knights, and it was a character played by Peter Kay. So I do apologise for Graham Potter. It doesn't look a bit like Peter Kay, but yeah, no, I think it's fair deal. Fair deal. But sorry, Emmett, you wouldn't know what that program was, so you wouldn't have had that in America.
Yeah, I have no idea. Right.
It was funny. It was a funny show.
Okay.
Ricky, let's come to you. 3 minutes later, of course, Harry Kane put Tottenham Hotspur 3-1 up. Great work from Heung-min Son, and then it just seemed like a defensive error, and then Harry Kane tapped in, an easy one for him.
Oh, bro. Listen, when Sonny picked up that ball and started dribbling, it felt like the Burnley goal all over again. Like, it was the same dribble. He held it close to his feet. He was slow at one point, and he just shifts it, and then his pace takes him through the defenders, and then there's a little bit of a hobble-bobble. I think it was Webster that ended up getting entangled in it, knocking it towards goal, and then, of course, Harry comes out from nowhere, sliding challenge to tap it in. I mean, come on. But I thought that Sonny was going to beat the whole team. The way that it was that same Burnley zip when he ran the whole field. Do you know what I mean? Or the Chelsea goal when he ran the whole field and just done everybody and then scored. It felt like that type of, and I thought he was going to score. Do you know what I mean? So, oh man, it was beautiful to see Sonny back. Beautiful to see him back strong, running again, hungry, determined. He is a diamond of a player, and he loves Tottenham, and he loves the shirt, and he loves us fans. And you can always see him, even if he has an off game, you can always see him putting in 110%, and you can always see him trying, even if he's, like I say, off. Even if he shoots wide or something, he's always there. He's always available. He's always trying to make it happen.
Rick, do you think it's weird that, it's weird in a good way, that nobody's ever seems to come in for Son in the transfer windows? There's never much mention.
Good.
I don't know. It's brilliant, but I just find it strange because he's such a good player. Why has nobody come in for him?
Well, I'm sure there are plenty of scouts and plenty of clubs out there that have got him on the list. But every time that they try and ring Levy or Paratici right now, all they hear is do.
The phone's on.
This number is not recognised. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what they get when they come and phone for Sonny. So it's not even on the table. He signed a new deal, and you've got to remember when he signed that new deal beginning of the season, the Harry Kane speculation was up in the air. He was looking to step into those boots. He was gonna be the one that carried us on his shoulders. Do you know what I mean? And he didn't mind that. You got to remember I know we all know this, but like we were dropping like the Titanic. Do you know what I mean? Like we were dropping like the Titanic. The performances, the effort, the displays. The lackluster. You could see nobody was going to blame Harry for wanting to leave if he did leave in the end, because we all knew what was happening at that time. But Sonny didn't blink. He did not blink. He signed that deal, and in fact that deal was there ready for Christmas, but for reasons, I think it was pandemic reasons, they didn't get that done at that time. So he signed it off, and you got to remember he won the Puskas Award at around Christmas time last year. So that could have put an extra 10 mil, 20 mil, 30, 40 mil on his price tag. And if we was really going to try and cash in, we could have cashed in on him, but we didn't. We signed him up, and his performances haven't dipped. Do you know what I mean? He took it up. He grabbed it by the reins and rid the horse like it was buck wild. Do you know what I mean? Like he was off, mate. He didn't care. Do you know what I mean? He was taming this horse. He was going to make it his. So, I love Sonny to bits, man. Love Sonny to bits. He is a bit of a Mr. Tottenham right now. Do you know what I mean? He did pick up the reins when Harry dropped him a little bit. He was the one that we could look to. And I just love that he's back on the field, Chris. Love that he's back on the field.
And real quick, Ricky, to your point, I mean, I'm sure Levy hangs up or doesn't answer the phone when other teams call, but I think teams know Sonny doesn't want to go anywhere. That he's probably hanging up on teams too. You know, he's here, and I'd be shocked if he ever left, you know, Tottenham. So I think that's part of it. Not only, you know, do everyone at Tottenham really appreciate what he does, I think Sonny is a Spur for life, and I think everybody knows that.
And like you were saying earlier, Emmett, him just being on the field, I think lifted everybody as well. Him being a presence in and around that dressing room, in and around the training ground, but him being on the field, it does lift everybody. They know that if we get the ball to Sonny, he's going to try and make something happen. He's going to, you know, like he's going to do something, you know. So, yeah, absolutely to your point, yeah.
I just want to give all of you the opportunity to answer two questions in one. What did you make of the performances from the brand new signings, Kulusevski and Bentancur? And where do they fit into this Tottenham Hotspur team? Because when you look at the Tottenham Hotspur team tonight, a lot of us expected Eric Dyer to be in it, but obviously he wasn't due to an injury. For the Southampton game, for instance, on Wednesday, does Eric Dyer return into this, back three? And do the new signings fit in? And if so, where? Emmett, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think my takeaway from the two new signings is they look like they belong. And that's super important, right? They're switching leagues. They're coming over here. It's a different style in the Premier League than it is in the league that they came from. And they look like they belong. I think about, like, I was excited when Brian Hill, you know, came to Tottenham. But once I saw him play, I was like, whoa, he's not quite ready, you know, for the Premier League. But both of the gentlemen today looked comfortable. They looked like they belong. So I felt good about that. And I think Kulu, anyway, at some point will kind of platoon, you know, with Lucas. And I also think he could help. You know, I kind of heard this floated out as I read a bunch of stuff, you know, Spurs news, like wing back possibly, right? To really get forward and really, you know, kind of put that pressure on the defense that I've been talking about, you know, during the show. So I felt good about him. And I could see they could do anything, you know, during the next game because they now have some depth, and that's what the two new signings gave them. You would think, well, they sent away with 4 or 5 players. How could they have more depth now? But I think it's about the quality of each player. And when you substitute or move guys around, you're not losing a whole lot. So I think right now, Conte looks at the team sheet and it's a playground for him because I think he can do anything right now.
Craig, what about you? What do you make of both of their substitute appearances and where do you see them fitting in? Because have we bought 2 players for this starting 11, or have we bought 2 players to sit on the bench and come on every now and then?
I think they're definitely going to strengthen the squad, which is the main thing. Bentancur, I thought it was very, very good debut for him. He seemed to just sit right in, like Emmett said there. He just seems to slot into that position. He got in a couple of good challenges, won a few good headers, and he's got a bit of height about him, which is we kind of missed that right in the middle of the park there, which is good. I noticed he won a couple of headers there, and he got booked, which is great to see. Actually, I like that. So I think he will. I think he's just another player to bring in. I wouldn't say a backup, because I think he's going to be pushing for a start, and he's going to be battling with the likes of Højbjerg, Skip and Winks, obviously in the middle. But Kulusevski, if that's how I pronounced his name right, it was a decent enough debut. I personally don't see him as a wing back. I don't see how you can have a left-footed person playing right wing back. I wouldn't really want to see that. Plus, to be brutally honest, and I agree with what Ricky said, he hasn't got much pace about him. And you can't teach pace. It's not something you can learn, is it? You've either got it or you haven't, to a degree. So I think this position is going to be fighting it out with Moura. But apparently he can play in the number 10 role as well, or he can play on the left. So be interesting to see, because it's very, very early days, isn't it? You know, I want to see him unleash a shot from 30 yards, see how good he is with that left foot. But the one thing he's going to be missing is pace. So very different animal as opposed to Lucas Moura, because Lucas Moura is absolutely rapid. You personally like you see the likes of Bales, your Moras, your Sonnies. I love a player with pace, as you know, in that front line. But then again, on the flip side, Kane hasn't got much pace, but Kane plays a different role. So if Kulusevski's going to be that sort of player that's almost like a playmaker as well, you wouldn't necessarily need the pace. So I'd like to see him popping up in positions where he can just cut inside and bend one in the corner with his left foot there. So it's early days, but he's definitely going to be battling out for the positions there, because Kane and Son, you have to think they're going to start almost every game if they're fit. So he's going to be battling out with the likes of Bergwijn and Moura, but not a bad start. And for Wednesday, is he going to perhaps sling both of them in? I think perhaps he might. I don't know how long that Skip's injury is going to keep him out. Does anybody know how long?
Exactly, Craig. That's another player who really should be, in the starting 11. It'll be interesting, and it's nice that Antonio Conte has got the choices. And let's talk about a comment on screen now from Jason, and someone else said exactly the same thing earlier. Kulo nearly laid on 2 assists today for both Harry Kane and Steven Bergwijn. He could have had like a dream debut, couldn't he? And he quite unselfishly didn't shoot himself and laid the ball off twice, and could have ended up with 2 assists today, Craig.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was good. It was good to see. I think he almost just didn't want to, because it was. You see that with players, didn't you? On the debut, you kind of like, I better put Kane in. He saw Kane in the good position. Whereas if that had been Bale last year, you bet your life Bale would have shot, right? So that's the difference. So it was. Do you know what? He had a good debut, and he was trying to bring players in, which is great. And I think that left foot of his is going to be quite a potent weapon, whether that be for passing or shooting. He seemed to know. This is going to sound daft to say about a professional footballer who is paid to play football, but he seemed to know what he was doing. Does that make sense? Some players come in debuts and they're like rabbit in the headlights, but he seemed to just think, right, okay, I know where I'm playing. I know how to play this game. I'm going to do my job, and that's exactly what he did. And I think he's going to be solid, is the word I'm probably looking for. I think he's dependable, solid player. So both of them, to be honest. So I'm really, really interested and excited to see what they can do going forward.
Brick, let's come to you on the same point, and I completely agree with what Emmett said earlier about them just fitting in so well. It's like they've been at the club for months.
Yeah, and I think that's I think Conte and Paratici have a hand in that. As soon as they've come in, they've felt comfortable. They know Romero, they know Golini. There's a couple of players there that can help them settle in to training. There ain't a language barrier, but if there is a language barrier, there's plenty of people around to kind of help with that situation as well. But for me, it shows me their mentality. Like, this is what I was saying on deadline day. The thing that I think is the most important about both of these players is their mentality, their intelligence, their will to win, their know-how. Know how to. So, for instance, Bentancur know how to break down or break down an attack from the opposing team, or to get it forward and get us attacking, so that their defense have got a lot more to worry about. Same with Kulu. Kulu seems like a very technical player, and I think what both of these players do, especially for Conte, it gives him a toolbox. So, firstly, not anybody's, apart from Harry and Sonny probably, and Hugo, but not anybody's position is nailed on right now. And not every, in a toolbox, a hammer doesn't fix every job. You can't use a hammer on everything. Do you know what I mean? You can't use a hammer to screw in and out, or a screw. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you need a screwdriver for a screw. So having, even if Kulu, let's say Kulu starts, him being a technical, dynamic, intelligent player, knows how to use both feet. Yes, the left foot is the one, but he's happy using both, which I think is an asset to us. But let's say he plays for 60, 70 minutes against Southampton, and then we've got Moura or Bergie to come off the bench. And what does that do? It injects our play with pace straight away. Or you do it the other way. Do you know what I mean? But now he's got tools. And I was really impressed with what Kulu brought to the table today, and Bentancur, and I'll get onto Bentancur. But the reason I'm being hesitant is because of Ndombele. It's because it's like Ndombele was the guy for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was the only one that I wanted the year that we bought him. He was, you know, he was going to transform our whole midfield. He was going to be a world beater. He was going to be one of the best Premier League midfielders. Do you know what I mean? And I was always waiting for that. And we know what's happened with Ndombele right now. Do you know what I mean? So right now, I'm trying to be as reserved, even though I can't, but as reserved as I can be with both of these new signings. I don't want to get too overhyped or too underhyped with them right now. I just want to see what they've got in a Spurs shirt first and foremost and judge them on what we see. So we've seen 15, 20 minutes from the both of them. Now on Bentancur, straight away, as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh my gosh, because the way that he's got twinkle toes. You know, he can get out of really tight situations. There was a point where I think there was about 3 players around him and he just dinked. He was like, ding, ding, ding. He was a bit like Emmett playing FIFA. Do you know what I mean? He was like, ding, 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 got out of trouble and then sent a through pass through. At times he was pushing for the attack. At times he was in a number 10 role or out on the left wing a little bit. Do you know what I mean? But he was pushing and supporting the attack. So these little things that I'm seeing, I'm like, it gets me excited. But because of Ndombele, I'm trying to temper that until I see them in the shirt for a couple of games, and then I can get a little bit more excited about them. Do you know what I mean? Because I know what they can do over a 90-minute game. But
yeah, Ricky, you're giving me too much credit. I'm terrible at FIFA. All right, I just like to play it. I'm not any good. I just enjoy playing the game.
You've got to buy Bentancur. Once you buy
there
Bentancur, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Can I just say thanks to Darren for this comment here. Evening positivity gang, great to see you. Unfortunately, Darren was actually hacked on Instagram over the last week or so. He's had all sorts of problems on his Instagram account. He's had to start a brand new one. So please do go over and hit that follow button for him. Emmett, let's come to you. One thing that really impressed me again about Antonio Conte, and I sing Antonio Conte's praises every single time I do one of these videos. Absolutely adore the guy. Was the fact that not only did he give our brand new signings time today from the bench, but Stephen Bergwijn, Joe Rodon and Matt Doherty, 3 players that a lot of us fans would have probably expected to go out in the January transfer window. And I just think that Antonio Conte is trying to get this squad so united and make everybody feel important in this squad.
Yeah, that's leadership for you. And you can tell that he's an excellent leader. And one thing that I've noticed with the guys that you mentioned, and really everybody in the squad, but especially those guys, he's empowered them. Go play your game. You know, you're here for a reason. You have skills. Go do that. I'm not going to try and turn you into something, you know, that you're not. And he has the credibility to where guys will listen to that, right? They're not going to roll their eyes. When he speaks, he's going to grab your attention because of all the great things that he's achieved in his career. So that's that credibility. And empowering your players go a long way, right? Because these guys, you ask them to do a lot. And not just what we see on the pitch on match day, but, you know, the training, the stuff in the off season, right? These guys just don't sit around and eat chips in the off season, right? They work hard. They all, you know, athletes work hard all the time. And when you have a manager come in and say, I believe in you, and if you trust me, I'll trust you. I think it's gone a long way. And I think we're going to see in the second half of this Premier League season, I think we're going to see a difference and a lot of the guys that we kind of wrote off, and deservingly so. You know, listen, a lot of these guys did not play well, you know, under Nuno or even under Jose to a certain extent. But I think we're going to see Conte elevate them because he's going to empower all the players.
Now, Emmett, let's talk trophies. You're the only one who's not mentioned trophies yet.
Yes,
on this channel.
Trophies. Yes, the FA Cup is coming home, baby.
Come on, Emmett. Come on, mate.
Eric writes here, my favourite words, the trophies are coming. Now, 1991 was the last time that Spurs lifted the FA Cup. 31 years ago. It's a crazy stat, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, like I said, I'm a new Spurs fan, but the people I know here in America, and oddly in Cleveland, there's a big Spurs backers club and bar. And when I was like, hey, I'm announcing it, I jumped on Twitter. I am now a Spurs supporter. Everybody said, welcome. And just wait. Just wait until you know, go through the ups and downs that we've all gone through, and they fill me in on the lack of trophies And like I said, I've been a Browns fan and just a Cleveland fan my whole life. So I understand a lack of trophies, and I get it. But you know what? At some point, somebody has to do it. I think about the Cavaliers right here in Cleveland. They had never won an NBA championship. LeBron James comes to town and obviously changes the fortunes of this team. So if a Cleveland team can win a championship, Tottenham can win another trophy, even if it's 30 years later.
Come on.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen soon.
Right.
Craig, let's come to you. Roy writes now, trophies, as long as we don't meet Chelsea. Let me ask you, who would you like to see in the next round, in the fifth round? Because, of course, the fifth round draw will take place tomorrow at around 11:40 a.m.
Yeah, I'd love to draw Arsenal in the next round. Oh, we can't. Sorry. God. Do you know what? Do you know what? Do you know what, Chris? As long as we don't draw Chelsea, I don't care who we get, to be honest with you. I mean, massive. Oh, gutted watching that Kidderminster West Ham game, because they so deserve to go through that. What a story that would have been. I just don't want to get Chelsea, Chris. I think that's the only team I don't want to draw. Either I'll take Man City. Obviously, I don't want Man City, but I'll take it. Chelsea, I'm sure it's going to change over the next few years. It's got to change. We can't keep. We might as well think, yeah, okay, 38 games, but we could only win 36 of them. It's like, that's how it is. That's how it is, isn't it? It's a sad thing, and I'd personally take anyone, Chris, really. But obviously, a lower league team, of course, you want that, and a home draw. But it's the luck of the draw. I don't know who's doing the draw tomorrow. I hope it's Crouchy, because he usually gets us a good draw, doesn't he?
Craig, before I ask Ricky the same question, top four or winning the FA Cup? I know you hate these questions.
Man, I'd have to say trophy. For me, trophy, right? So the FA Cup, because I love the FA Cup. And we're starved of trophies. So, but for the club to attract players looking at the bigger picture in the summer, you've got to go top four, because I think that's going to be massive, and I think it's there for the taking. But to just caveat that, I think both are doable.
Ricky, can we win the FA Cup? Will we win the FA Cup? Will it happen?
Why not, Chris? Why not, bro? Why not? And you got to remember that we beat Chelsea in a final when they were at one of the peak of their powers. Do you know what I mean? And what was it? Jonathan Woodgate's goal. Do you know what I mean? So if we got them in the final, maybe we could get a little bit of revenge on them. Maybe we've had a season, a long time under Conte's tutelage, and maybe at that point Bentancur and Kulusevski are making a real impact in that first 11, and maybe we can go there and do the damn thing. And how sweet would it be if we won the final against Chelsea? Do you know what I mean? Like, that would put to bed all of the league stuff, all of the free games in 2 weeks, all of that stuff where it just upset us all. It put all of that to bed, man, and it might be nice. It might be real sweet at the end of the season. So I don't see why not, brother. I don't see why not. Why not? Let's have it. And like the boys have been saying there, Conte's a winner. It's a cup. So let's go for it. Why not? He's going to go for it. And I said to you, bro, when we sign Conte, like, he's going to be, even though it may seem impossible, he's going to be looking at the league. He's going to be looking who's at the top of the league. What would we have to do to reach it? Now, we know we're not going to reach it this season, but he's still looking there. He's a winner. He doesn't want to talk about top four, So... And to answer the question, top four or FA Cup as well, bro, I think both of them work for us, right? So we know if we get top four financially, we get the financials. We're going into the Champions League, the competition that kind of wows the world, right? And then we can attract more players. We've got more finances. Those players that we were going after, they haven't got the excuse of we don't have Champions League football. Fantastic, cool. But if we win the cup and we don't get top four, what that does, again, a bit like the Leicester game, it's a double, triple boost. It's not just the FA Cup. It's a galvanization. It's a certification. It's of Conte's methods and plans. And, those players that deserve a trophy that have been at Tottenham for so long, Kane, Hugo, Dyer, like these players that have been there for a while, and these players that have been with us while we've been struggling as well. If they was to get a trophy, that would level up our whole team, because it just gives them even more confidence to believe in the word of Conte and what he's saying and what he's asking them to do. Do you know what I mean? If he's asking them to do triple sessions, 18 sessions a day, do you know what I mean, in training, because it's going to make sure that you as a group win, they're going to be doing it. If they need to run through brick walls to win they're going to do it, because they've won if this happens, they've won the FA Cup, and that has just galvanized and given confidence to what Conte wants and what Conte needs. And so that's going to level them up. Also, for attracting players, bro, it shows that it can happen at Tottenham. So that agent talk, do you know what I mean, with the player, don't listen, they haven't won a trophy in 30 years. Like, don't do it. Don't, go Liverpool. Luis Diaz, go Liverpool, right? But the moment that we get that trophy, then straight away, the perception of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club has changed. Do you know what I mean? It's changed. So then we can still go for the same players that we was after. We wouldn't have the exorbitant kind of finances that you get with the Champions League, but we're attractive, and we're showing that players can come here and increase the level of their futures and win with us. So either which way, do you know what I mean? I think it's good times ahead.
Rick, you know why as well that players might want to come is because of Conte, like you say, because he eats spaghetti, he drinks Moretti, and he hates Chelsea, something like that. I heard a song, something like that.
I think, Craig, I want what Antonio Conte wants. I want both. I want the top four, and I want the FA Cup.
Yeah, damn right.
Yeah. Let's come to you on Antonio Conte, because surely him coming to Tottenham Hotspur, he's won trophies everywhere he's gone. And I know, all joking aside about me talking about trophies on this channel on a daily basis, but surely he has come here to deliver, to put a trophy in the cabinet, because he will want to be successful at this club, won't he?
Oh, no doubt about it. Listen, if a guy with the resume that Antonio Conte has, you don't want a stain on it, right? He doesn't want to look back and everybody goes, yeah, you were pretty good, but even you couldn't turn around Tottenham. And I think if he goes out there and they win a trophy, if they win the FA Cup and make the Champions League, and I know we're talking some big dreams right here, then I think he will just be able to look at his critics and go, I'm arguably the best manager ever. And I think that, if everybody goes, man, he came to Tottenham and was able to win trophies and was able to go, maybe even win the Champions League or win a Premier League, I think that would be the crown jewel, for him to be able to say, yes, I even did it with a team that everybody counted out. And imagine if he, halfway through a season, he comes in and wins a trophy or finishes top 4, you got to love it anyway. And again, it just legitimizes Tottenham's chances for next season, because next season I'm expecting them to challenge for the Premier League. And I do not want to play in a Europa League conference game ever again, right? Like, enough of that. Like, I'm over, Europa League is bad enough, but now, watching some of those games and some of the facilities, it's like, wow, this is a really low-tier tournament. Here it looks like some high school field.
You don't have to tell Chris. He went to all of them.
Right.
Yeah. Every away game, and I still didn't see us win. And I was expecting us to win that trophy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Craig, let's come to you. I was going to talk about the transfer window. Let's come on to the window. 8 players out in the window, including a number of players out on loan. 2 players in who we've spoken about. Rhythm2671 writes now, can you see the team a lot better in 6 months' time, which would be 3 times as much as now? Also, who did Emerson Royal point at after the goal? Let's talk about the window. 8 players out: Niall John, Dylan Markanday, Jack Clark, Tongi Ndombele, Giovanni Lo Celso, Brian Hill, Dele Alli, and Keona Tet. What did you make of the January transfer window? You pleased?
I wouldn't say I was ecstatic about it, but I was satisfied that we seem to now get players out and hopefully be in a better position for the summer. That's obviously what they're planning for. If you want to take each of those players in turn, I won't go through all of them, but Jack Clark, I've been very disappointed with, because I watched a lot of him at Leeds, and I honestly thought he's the Spurs player in the making. And ever since he had an issue when he was on the bench, he collapsed or something when he was at Leeds the season before we bought him, and he hasn't actually looked the same player, because I don't know if you watched much of Jack Clark when he was at Leeds, but he was outstanding. He really was a good young player, and he just has, obviously, 3 or 4 managers now just don't fancy him, so that's a shame. And I can see us actually getting rid of him. And I hope he goes to a club where he gets some minutes, because he's just not worked out for him. Gutted to lose Markandé, because everything I've seen and read about him, I really thought he had a bright future at Tottenham. Noel John still has got a future, obviously, because he's gone out on loan, so that's good. Don't know much about. Is it Etet? You say the other?
Kieran Etet, yeah.
Yeah. Don't know much about him, to be honest with you. But Lo Celso, my thoughts on Lo Celso. I just hope he gets a permanent move away. I just don't think he's not been good enough. He hasn't been consistent enough. 1 Premier League goal, I think it is. I don't know where he plays. I think it's been a bit of a disaster. And then Ndombele, Christ, we all had such high hopes for him, and he just hasn't done it. I just don't think he suits the Premier League. I think he could have gone to Man City and he still wouldn't have got a look in. So, I loved Ndombele. I think he's got it in spades. He's an unbelievable player when he wants to, but it's Tungi's way or no way, isn't it? And he's not going to fit into Conte's plan. So I don't know how Lyon are going to afford to pay us that amount of money. I can't see. They'll probably want to do a full permanent transfer. They won't get 56 million or whatever it is. I can't see. I mean, if Paratici gets that out of them, Christ, I'll have his babies. It's unbelievable. Dele Alli, I was, as you know, Chris, I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted to see Dele Alli go. Now, but that might be me being nostalgic, but it just felt wrong at the time. And that video that Dele put out, obviously it was done by his media team, but it really got me. It really did get me, because you think it was just part of that Poch team. He seemed to be not the glue that held it all together, but he was a massive part of it, wasn't he? And it was just one of those massive players. And to see him go, I expected him to go on a loan, but not permanently. It's such a shame, but he hasn't been doing it and we've got to move on. And I think that was a big turning point for me, is suddenly realising we have got to move on from these players that just aren't doing it for us anymore. We've got to be ruthless, and we've got to go with this Conte philosophy as fans as well. Dele Alli will get a brilliant reception in a few weeks when Everton come. I've no doubt about that, and he quite rightly deserves it. Classy way he's left the club. Will always be welcome back at the stadium, of course, but I still can't help feeling gutted, because we've seen him come as a boy and he's grown into a man, and we thought he was going to hit the highs, and he hasn't got it. I thought he was going to get back in the England setup, and for him, I hope he does. I really hope he does. As for the incomings, my thoughts on Traore. I thought he would be a great acquisition for Tottenham. I know he kind of split fans 50-50. I was gutted we didn't get him. Luis Diaz, I think we were played by either the player's agent or Liverpool. I don't know, but I was gutted we didn't get him. Thought it was a bit of a panic buy getting these 2 guys in, but I'll tell you what, so far they've quite impressed me. I think they've, like you said, slotted right in, and that's all you can ask. So are we stronger? I would say we're no weaker, but we've freed up spaces in the squad to make those additions in the summer, assuming that the players don't come back and the teams just don't want them anymore, and then we'd be back at square one. We're trying to get rid of Ndombele and Lo Celso, and we've got to pay the loan fees for Romero and the other players we're going to owe the money for. So it's all a bit of a game, isn't it? So there's a lot of work to be done, but I would say we're certainly no weaker than we were.
It's crazy to say that, isn't it? Because when you think of Tanguy Ndombele, Giovanni Lo Celso, £100 million on both of them, and it's like we're not going to miss them because they didn't really do a lot for us anyway. And I don't think that's disrespectful saying it. I think it's very factual, because a staggering stat between the 2 of them, 16 times did they complete 90 minutes between them combined. Unbelievable. Wow. Ricky, let's come to you on it, because I agree with Craig. when Dele Alli went out the door, I fully expected it to be a loan. And even when the tweets come out, I read it as though like he's gone out on loan, because I told myself that the whole window, Dele is going out on loan. He will do very well. He will come back and he will still be a Tottenham Hotspur player. I was very, very surprised that it was a permanent deal. But, you know, you were with me on transfer deadline day and we all said we need to be ruthless as a football club. Antonio Conte is a ruthless guy. We need to move forward. And I feel that we have certainly done that. How are you feeling about it? And, you know, how would you review the window?
You know, very much like yourself and Craig there, man. You know, I didn't expect Dele to go on a permanent. I thought it would be a loan as well. But like you boys have said, it's a new era, and there does have to be a bit of a ruthless streak. Like Emmett said at the beginning of the show, there, you know, those players, Dele being one of them, but those him, Lo Celso, and Ndombele going out the door. You know, like it shows how ruthless we are actually being right now, and if that's not going to shake up the players that we do have to step up and, you know what I mean, like claim your space, then what else is? With Dele, you know, I've tried to back him. I say I tried. I have backed him, but you know, been fair when he hasn't performed and stuff like that. You know, the Liverpool game this season, he had a really good performance. I was really happy that the crowd sang his song as well. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, maybe we can get a new Dele. And then he played a couple of games after that. And it was just, I was so disappointed that it dipped again. So I think with Dele, it's a bit like you know, it's a bit like being in a relationship with a girl that you fell in love with. And like, she was drop dead gorgeous. And you're like, oh my gosh. But then you're broken up, but you're still in the same work building. So you're seeing it every day and you're just like, you know, like just lingering eyes and just seeing if, is she going for coffee or like, what's, you know, and like just hoping that she might catch your eye and be like, hey, how you doing? And then you can start that conversation and maybe be like, oh yeah, can we go? Let's go out for a look. But every time that you ask her to go out, she's always busy. So at some point you've got to cut her off, innit? You've got to delete the number. You've got to cut her off, and this is what we've done with Dele, you know, in a roundabout way. It's being ruthless. It's gone, look, Del, we love you, man. We love you. We watched you grow up. We wanted the best for you. Do you know what I mean? But like Conte said, and, you know, this is what gives Conte more power, is because not only does he speak with passion and humility and stuff like that, but he speaks truth, regardless of what the club are telling him to say, or Paratici telling him to say, or if the journalist asks him a question, he answers it truthfully. And I want
to come on to that in a minute, Rick.
Yeah. All right, okay. So I'm just saying that people would respect that, bro. You know, people would respect that. So what he said about Dele, you know, he needs a new challenge for himself. You know, this is a good deal for the club, but mostly for him as well. Do you know what I mean? So we all wish him well. I want him to do well. I want him to, you know, do really well for Everton. And if he could get in that England squad, fantastic. Do you know what I mean? Because he had the world at his feet. He was an 80 to 100 million pound player, and he could have gone anywhere. The transfer should have been to Real Madrid or Barcelona.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's where he should have gone. So I'm very much the same as you guys, you know, when we're talking about the departures. Lo Celso, again, very much like Craig. Don't know what he done. The only thing I ever saw him do was earn the contract from a loan to a permanent. After you earn a contract, I don't know where he plays. I don't know where he's useful. I don't know. And, you know, Ndombele, that we've all been cussing, and I've said it 18 times, he's still done more than Lo Celso. So it's time to move forward. It's time to be ruthless. It's time to shake this squad up. It's time to, you know, let the Conte era take effect.
Well, Spurs have been ruthless by offloading Dele Alli. Emma, have you been ruthless? Is he still in your FIFA team?
Right now he is. He currently is. Look, I told you guys the first player I fell in love with was Sonny. The second was Dele. You know, it was. I started looking at YouTube videos. I learned how to do the silly thing, you know, after the goal. Yeah, I was teaching my wife how to do it. She's like, God, get the hell away from me, right? You know, with that silly stuff. You know, and I was a big Dele fan, but I understand if you play team sport, right? Team sports are very different than if you're a tennis player, you know, or something like that. Everybody has to be on the same page. You can't have guys sitting on the bench projecting negativity, whether it's pouting or just not being interested on what's going on in the game, because there's no way you're going to achieve greatness as a team. And I think Conte understands that. And he took a guy, again, like Dele, that we all love, and said, you know what, from an attitude standpoint, it's just not beneficial for him to be part of this squad. Same thing with Ndombele. You know what? Lots of potential, but you could see it. He wore his disappointment, you know, on his face and just his whole aura the entire time. You can't have that in the dressing room if you want the whole team to be on the same page. So it was a necessity. And I say it all the time, it's a cold world when it comes to sports. And sometimes you have to do things that don't feel good. And obviously seeing Dele leave doesn't feel good for any of the Spurs supporters out there. But it was the right thing. And we wish him luck. And I'm sure, you know, a change of scenery will probably help him out a lot. But it's what's best for the club.
Emmett, can I just ask you a question about mentality? You mentioned talking about mentality of players and belief and all this. Somebody like Tom Brady, who's announced his retirement now, right? I don't know if you've ever met him or anything like that. What is that top sportsman mentality, and what can they bring to a team? If you get in somebody, saying we bought a big name in the summer, that difference, is that the difference, do you reckon, between winning something and not? Because the impact Tom Brady could have on the team is astronomical, isn't it?
So you know, I've never met Tom, but the show that I do in Cleveland, my co-host, his name is Gerard Cherry, and he won 3 Super Bowls with Tom Brady, you know, playing for the Patriots. He played in the NFL. And the biggest thing about Tom is he was just like the 3rd string running back. He was just like, you know, a practice squad player that when he walked in the building, it wasn't about Tom Brady. It was about us. It was about what we can do. You know, when the best player is the first one to show up, is the one that is preaching, we have to do this together. When you see a guy sacrificing, Tom Brady, there were many times when he could have signed contracts that would have made him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. He declined because he knew that if he signed that much money, the way the salary cap structure is in the NFL, it meant some of his teammates could no longer be on the team. And that's selflessness. So more than anything, the most successful teams, at least, you know, here in America that I've seen and been up close to, I bring it up with LeBron. LeBron's the hardest working athlete I've ever seen in my life, and he's probably the most blessed with athletic talent. But when those guys care more about, you know, the locker room attendant that's cleaning up, you know, after all the guys are done, when you truly dedicate yourself and put everyone else before you, and you're the best player, I mean, there's no limit to what you can achieve.
Brilliant.
Emmett, let's stay with you. Andy writes on screen now, the January transfer window allows us to save money and buy in the next window. Because personally, as a Spurs fan, I'm expecting a huge summer, you know, a complete overhaul. Right. Yes, Antonio Conte has got a number of players out in the window in January and brought 2 new ones in, but I'm expecting a lot. Are you?
I am now. I'm a little nervous because, again, in my short time as a Spurs fan, I have learned that Daniel Levy is very cautious when it comes to spending money. You know, he doesn't just, you know, make it rain, you know, like we say over here. He's very cautious. So that is concerning to me. But you know what? You finish top 4, that extra revenue comes in, and then I'd feel more comfortable about a lot of big players coming in the summer transfer window. But I'm hesitant right now because I know without the extra funds that come from qualifying for the Champions League, that I know Daniel Levy will be fiscally responsible.
Well, talking about spending money, Fabio Paratici has come in, and he is an expert in free transfers. Now, a lot has happened at the club in the past week. Steve Hitchen has left his role at the club. Fabio Paratici come out with this video at Tottenham. And Craig, let's come to you. What did you make of the departure of Steve Hitchen? What do you make of Fabio Paratici's video this week? And what do you make of Antonio Conte? And Ricky touched on this. Antonio Conte seems to be talking like he's one of us, which I absolutely love right now.
Yeah, just saying your first point about Hitchin, I think his position became difficult when they brought in Paratici, to be honest with you. It was almost a handover period. You could look back now and say the last 6 months where he's kind of showing him the ropes, showing him the club, and now Paratici's. I mean, Hitchin, I don't know whether this was always planned, but the fact Hitchin's resigned, or that's what we've been told, perhaps he felt like he was being pushed out, to be honest with you. And he gets a raw deal because of that Amazon, that 2 seconds in the Amazon documentary where he said he hates the transfer window. When you watch the whole thing, as we all know, it was taken out of context. When you watch it in that little bit, yes, it does. But when you watch the whole conversation, and I watched it the other day again to see exactly what he did said, that wasn't what he was saying. And it's a ridiculous thing to think otherwise. And Steve Hitchin did bring in some good players for us. You got to remember that. So. It looks like he might even end up at Everton. So, obviously Dele Alli's gone there. So that'll be interesting to see how that pans out. So Steve Hitchin, wish him well. He's not as bad as people make out. Paratici's video. Yeah, I would have liked to have heard a bit more from him, to be honest with you. But I just want to hear him say that we are going to be going for the big players. That's essentially what we all want to hear. And I know times are tough. Loan deals only get you so far. I just want to sign a permanent big name player in the summer. That's the first thing that I'd like to see. There's still players are going to be going out the door, obviously, but we want. What reason I asked the Tom Brady question was the game changing element to it, and we've got the Harry Kane, we've got Heung-min Son, we've got Hugo. I think we need a statement signing in the summer. Whether that depends on Champions League qualification, I don't know. I think we need that one player that's going to get everybody thinking, wow, they mean business. And as for Conte, I love the way he talks because he's honest and there's no, he doesn't really overdo it either way, does he? He says what he's feeling. He's not being disrespectful to the club. He says exactly what we all think. Obviously, we would use a bit more colourful language, but he's in front of the camera, and how many times did you hear him say, more or less, I need help, I need more players, but I need to get players out of the club, the ones that are not, and he's like the ones with a bad attitude, like you're saying, Lo Celso. Never want to see him in a Spurs shirt again, to be honest with you. And it's a shock to say Ricky was spot on what he said, that Ndombele did more than Lo Celso, and Ndombele was crap. If you look at his whole tenure at Tottenham. So what does that say about Lo Celso? So was Lo Celso a bad influence you hear in the changing room? And if he's getting rid of those bad eggs, the dissenting voices, I'm not sure Dele Alli you could perhaps tar with that brush because I don't think he was ever. He might have been a bad voice in the dressing room, but certainly the other two, somebody moping around like your Danny Roses towards the end, which is a shame. But he was like that, wasn't he? So you need everybody on the same page. You need everybody rowing in the right direction. That's the only way you can move forward, and that's what they're both doing now. Paratici and Conte. You can see it. You can see the plan, which is what we've said for ages, isn't it? Couldn't see no plan under Nuno. Now you're starting to see a plan again.
Ricky, let's come to you on the same point because when Fabio put that video out in the week, it's kind of like I felt energized. And when you hear him saying that he goes to training every day, he speaks to Antonio Conte every single day, they want to improve the club, it just seems that we are going back in the right direction because, of course, Champions League football was where we were very used to being, of course, going to that final in the Champions League as well. And as Emmett touched on earlier, going down to the Europa League and then Europa Conference League, it just seems that if Antonio Conte can get us back into the top four, I just feel that the good times will be back again. But what have you made of the Steve Hitchin resignation, Fabio's interview, and Antonio Conte in the press conferences?
With Hitchin, did he make mistakes? Yes, but I think the biggest culprit in most of those mistakes was the board, was those above him that didn't sanction the deals that he put. He got to the final hurdle. If we talk about Grealish or, Dybala or Skriniar, from what we hear from the rumours, he brokered a deal which was basically in its final hurdle. All we needed was the green light from Mr. Levy and the board, and it didn't come. Do you know what I mean? So you could say that it's a bit unfair, and you could say that, like Craig was saying there, that the line in the Amazon documentary, "I hate it," was taken out of context and it was used against him. Listen, right now, I'm really thank you for the years that he was there. Thank you for doing what you done. Absolutely. Do you know what I mean? But we now are moving forward. Do you know? We are moving forward. We now have a new plan. Now, what I'm really impressed about Paratici as well is that it's not just these interviews that we get, because we never really had a Steve Hitchin interview, you know, with a director of football, you know. But it's not just the videos. He has this plan set out in front of him. Do you know what I mean? Like the mentality. He's going to bring up the coaching. You know, how many jobs, Chris? You know, because you do the updates. But there's been so many people. You know, I think the quote was like over 100 years worth of experience has left the club, and it's not because they were rubbish. It's because it's time to move forward. Do you know what I mean? Maybe those people were getting stale in the job as well, or maybe they wasn't on the same page. Maybe they wasn't rowing in the right direction. Maybe they wanted to go this way, and you know, we're shifting. He's also upping all the scouting to bring us in line with those top clubs around Europe. So he's not just fixing one problem. He's not just searching for players. He's fixing a lot of problems to raise the level of the whole club. Now, with the interview this week with my good friend Ben, who interviewed him, I was really kind of excited and impressed with what he said. I loved the way he gave descriptions about Kulu and Bentancur. But one of the things that I really liked about it was when speaking about big players, and not just, you know, going out there and saying, yes, we're going to go get big players, but to say that as a big club, we need to be in that race, regardless if we get them or not. Do you know what I mean? We need to be a big player in that race. We don't need to be a pawn in that race. We don't need to be used so that somebody else can get a deal, but we want to be front and center in that race. We want to show them that Tottenham is a great club to be at. They've got a world-class manager. We've got a world-class stadium. We've got world-class training facilities. Everything is there for us to kind of be one of these massive big teams that do win year in, year out. Do you know what I mean? Whatever competition. Not every competition. Not like Man City, but to be in it. Do you know what I mean? To be in finals. So we're shifting everything right now. And that's what I really enjoyed about the video that he put out, was just that, no, of course we should be in the race. It's not, you know, we've heard before that Spurs don't get into bidding wars. If somebody comes in for the player that we're after, we back off. Like in any game that you're playing, whether it be poker, war, Call of Duty, FIFA, if you back off like that, what's going to happen? Majority of the time, you're going to lose. Do you know what I mean? I don't care. The majority of the time, you're going to lose. What Paratici is saying is that we're going to be in there, and we're going to be in there to win. And that's what I took from it. And that's what really excites me. Not just for today, not just for two players. You know, everyone's there was a lot of people that are getting on his back for, you know, raiding his old club. But 1 minute, let's take the emotion out of it a second. He's gone and got two players in two positions that Conte can trust.
That's it, Ricky. I agree. The word is trust, because it is all about who we can trust. 100%.
Dele and Ndombele and Lo Celso, unfortunately with Dele, but they were just names on paper. Just names on paper, because he couldn't count on them, he couldn't trust them, he couldn't use them. He brought them on and he's scratching his head. He's like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? I just told him to do the A, B, and C, and I don't know what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? So he's taken those big players, big wages out of the squad and brought in two players that he can trust. Knows inside out. Paratici knows them inside out. If they've got a problem, they can go and speak to Fabio. Fabio, this is what's happening. All right, no problems, boys. I'll get it sorted. I mean, come on. So let's forget about where they come from right now. Let's forget about he's raided his old club. Good. He's raided his old club for two young players of exceptional, with an exceptional ceiling, you know, that have both won things. We need a winning mentality. We're shifting everything. So all of these things are great going forward. It just does need a little bit of time and patience, which both of them have asked for, Conte and Paratici.
Emmett, let's come to you. Before I come on to the comment on screen here, what have you made of Antonio Conte's press conferences? Because are you surprised that he's sometimes too honest in front of the media?
I am surprised by it, but I love it. You know, being as a media member, right? I'm a member of the media here in America. I want honesty and I want truth. And a lot of times honesty and truth create headlines. And most teams over here do not want headlines. They want to stay under the radar, but it's refreshing to see a manager speak with passion and with honesty about the way he feels. So it's refreshing to me. I wish more of the coaches and managers over here did the same, because it's refreshing.
Emmett, a question here for you from Mark. Does Emmett think that Tottenham Hotspur Football Club hosting NFL games will lead to big name US sponsor? And how? Tell us, from an American point of view, how Tottenham Hotspur are seen over there.
So I do think it will lead to sponsorships that may come overseas, but I'm a firm believer that the NFL wants to expand and they want to put possibly 2 teams over in England or Europe overall. And I think, with the facility that Tottenham has, that'll be the first place that they go to and look at, because that place is absolutely amazing and it has everything you need to house and to support an NFL team. So I definitely feel like at some point that'll happen. The biggest issue they have is travel and figuring out the schedule, with time zones and time differences, and stuff like that. So I do think ultimately that'll end up happening. And what was your second question?
Just to ask how Tottenham Hotspur are seen over in America, because it's funny. Last time I was in America, which was a couple of years ago when Spurs were on tour there. Whenever I got in an Uber, I always asked the Uber driver how Tottenham Hotspur was seen, and they always seem to say, well, they're the underdog. We like Tottenham Hotspur in America because we don't want to just go and support a team that wins everything all the time. I didn't quite know how to take that at the time, but I took it in the best way possible.
Yeah, it was meant as a compliment. It was definitely, meant as a compliment. Listen, there are teams over here in baseball, the Yankees, in football, the Dallas Cowboys, and people hate them. And the reason they hate them is because they have the most money, so they always get the best players, and they're very easy to root for, right? Like, it's easy. If you're a new football fan and you go, I'm going to be a City fan. Yeah, like, is that, what is that? Like, isn't that just, all right, I'm going to go with the team with the most money and the best players and all of that? It's easy to be a fan of them. Whereas, at least here in America, you start out with your home team, and that's typically the team you root for. And most of the teams out here are underdogs, right? There's no relegation and stuff like that. So you see teams at the bottom of the league for a while, but everybody always hoping and that maybe one day their team will make the Super Bowl or the World Series or something like that. So the Spurs supporters that I've met, over here, tight-knit group, love to have a good time, and they are kind of looked at as the underdog, right? Because off the top of your head, you're going to go Liverpool, City, United, Chelsea. And I won't even say the other team's name because we don't say that.
He's Tottenham, bruv. He's Tottenham.
Right. We're not even going to say that other team's name. Those are usually the first clubs that people in America think about. And, I understand why, because the brand is so large. But I think Tottenham's brand is growing in America, and there are tons and tons of Tottenham supporters over here.
Emmett, I don't know how it works, but forgive me.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a possibility the Super Bowl could be at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, or would they never do that?
I mean, I think that would be amazing. I think that would be. I think it's a possibility. And their whole thing is about growing the game, right? And if you want to grow the game, especially in Europe, you bring it to England in a beautiful stadium like Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and I think it would be amazing. Time zone stuff is, I think that's a hurdle as well, because they like to air, Super Bowl is a TV show, a lot,
It's all right.
a lot more than a sporting event.
That's fine. We got floodlights. You can have it at night if you want. That's fine.
Oh, no doubt. It would be very late at night over there because they like to kick off about 8 o'clock Eastern our time, which would probably be
2 in the morning,
maybe midnight
yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, 1 or 2. So I think that's the biggest hurdle is the time zone. But I'm sure the NFL has had discussions about it. Because they definitely want to grow the game, and I think England is right, for a team whenever they do decide to expand.
Emmett, Adrian's asking, have you been to our new stadium? And if you haven't, when are you planning on visiting?
So I haven't had a chance to been there, but when I'm a fan of something, I'm all in. So I've seen and watched numerous videos and tours about Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I love that, the pitch is natural grass on top and it all breaks apart. And then there's the synthetic field underneath. I love that. I think the dressing rooms are amazing and large enough, again, to support the NFL team. So I haven't had a chance to be over there. And I'm not bucket list guy, but it is on my bucket list to get over there, North London, and get a chance to see a Spurs match. I mean, I'd love to be there for a North London derby, but some tells me those tickets are kind of expensive. But it is my goal to get over there and witness a Spurs match. It's definitely a dream of mine.
And you'll never ever forget the first time you go into that stadium, and the memories will be fantastic. Now let's get on to the last question for you all. Of course, our next game is on Wednesday evening at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the Premier League against Southampton. Antonio Conte, as Spurs boss, has managed us 10 times in the Premier League, 6 wins, 3 draws, 1 defeat. We're currently 7th. Southampton are 12th. Ricky, let's come to you first. How do you see the game against Southampton going?
It's a home game, yeah?
It's a home game. It's a home game. Emma, if you don't understand this joke, a couple of weeks ago, Ricky was meant to meet me at a Watford away game, and I was outside the stadium, and then he's sending me photographs saying I'm at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I thought it was a home game. I thought, how is that wrong? I don't know.
Well, oh my gosh. Well, fortunately, I'm going to be there, so I will catch up with you, Chris. Definitely at some point. But yeah, I see a win, mate. I see a win. And the thing is, everyone knows that sees me on this channel. I never back us to lose, and I can't do it. My heart won't let me do it. Even when the odds are stacked against us, I can't do it. But I see a good win. I see an improvement on the last time that we played Southampton. I want them to continue the way that they were playing, especially in the first half, and continue that through and keep building it and have a full performance. I'm looking forward to seeing the new boys. Hopefully Bentancur comes in and gets to have a bit more game time. It's lovely to see him and his twinkle toes in midfield. And see the technical ability of Mr. Kulu. So I see a win. I don't even see them scoring on Wednesday. And my driving instructor would kill me because he's Southampton. But I see a 3-0 win, maybe even 4-0, because the boys were ruthless today. If we put away the thing, Bergwijn shot, he should have buried a shot. We could have been 4-5 today. So I think that's going to spark this business end of the season, and I think we're going to keep this momentum going. And 3-0 win on Wednesday. Come on, you Spurs.
I agree with you, Rick. Emma, let's come to you.
I agree with you, Ricky. A lot of times Spurs play during my show, right, locally here in Cleveland, and I always have it on my iPad while I'm hosting the show. And every once in a while, you'll hear random outbursts. I got to send you one, Chris, of me just losing my mind, during the show, and everybody's like, "What's going on?" My boss gets mad at me and says, "No, you need to be talking Browns and Cavs." And I expect a lot of outbursts this week as Tottenham continues to roll.
And Craig, are you feeling confident as well?
Yeah, I am actually after today's performance. As I say, the aggression, the intensity, the speed, everything that we've been missing. seems to be coming back gradually each week. So I'm pretty confident 2 or 3-0 win. I don't think Southampton will score unless they get a free kick in an area where Ward-Prowse is going to just bang one in because he's deadly. But I can see us winning 2 or 3-0. To be honest with you, yeah. I think we're going to get a positive result Wednesday.
I've absolutely loved tonight's show. It's been so positive, and we've all gone for a Spurs win. We've all gone for a clean sheet as well. And Antonio Conte is certainly doing things at Spurs at the moment. Ricky, thanks so much for joining me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you again. And tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, bro. Always an honor and a pleasure. You can find me on Twitter at Ricky J Norwood. I've got the blue tick on there. On Insta, it's official Ricky Norwood, but Insta don't want to give me a blue tick. But that's my account, all right? And you know what, Chris? I would say, a little note before I get out of here. I would say, I don't know whether this is possible, but I would love to see you interview Fabio Paratici. Do you know what I mean? I would love to see that interview, bro, because you would get some answers out of him. Do you know what I mean? You would, bro. So I will probably see you Wednesday at the game. And to all the fans, listeners, everyone else, it's always been a pleasure. Always come on, you Spurs. And let's keep building those Conte blocks.
Thank you, Ricky. And I certainly would love to do that as well. Let's watch this space. Emma, thanks so much for your time this evening. And it's been absolutely wonderful talking to you for the very first time on this channel.
Oh, I've had a ball. You got to invite me back as long as we can make it work on the schedule time. I know the time difference. Yeah, it makes it a little tough, but I had an absolute ball. Ricky, I just followed you on Twitter. Everybody out there, eGoldie80 on Twitter and Instagram and everything. And, if you care to listen to my show on the ESPN app, you can find it there. So this has been a ball. I'm a big fan of Chris's. I told him when he reached out to me, I watch his videos every night here just to make sure I stay up on everything that goes on with Spurs. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You can't tell me you watched all 86 during the January transfer window, Emmett.
Not all 86. I watched one a night. I watched one a night, and I picked the most recent one. So.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Emmett, and definitely we'll get you back on at some point. And Craig, thanks so much for joining us this evening.
No problem at all. No problem at all. If anybody's that interested on Twitter somewhere, I ain't got a blue tick. I'm not that important. Even Ricky Norwood don't follow me. I follow him,
I've got to find you, Craig. I love you, man. You are the Zen master. Every time I see you taking 2 draw on that vape, bro.
Yeah.
Your calm, dulcet tone, bro. I love you. Every time you're on Chris's show, I love watching you, bro. So I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna follow you, bro. Because I didn't even know you was on it.
Rick, you retweeted Chris's tweet earlier, and I'm on it. So
all right, but that was just before. And then what I done is I started thinking, and then I got a phone call, and it was on the landline, so I had to hold like this. And then I was writing this letter, and then I was typing at the same time because an audition came through, and then my TV show
you got lost.
On,
I get it. Yeah.
Love it.
Okay. But I am on Twitter somewhere. Demon9, I think.
Boom, just followed you right there. There you go.
Hey, see, he's in America and he found me. You're only down the road.
Well, Craig, we know that Ricky does have a little bit of a problem finding things.
He does. Yeah. He's followed Craig Shakespeare instead. That's what he's done.
It will take a little bit of time. But Ricky, Craig, Emma, thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much for all of the comments and subscribing to the channel and all of the support of the channel. Really, really appreciated. I'll see you tomorrow for an exclusive interview with Sky Sports presenter Dharmesh. 10 a.m. tomorrow, so don't miss that. It'll be an interesting one. And also, I'll see you for a Tottenham news video tomorrow evening. Thanks for joining me, everyone, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.